All right, ladies and gents, I hit the record button. For those of you we've never had the pleasure of meeting, my name's Phil Januszewski. Welcome to the Positive Growth Lounge. This is a group of humans that started off as solely just educators looking to grow and thrive, and we've somehow and accidentally and beautifully morphed into anybody just looking for good humans and you're looking to grow in some way, grow personally, professionally. And one of my favorite things to do, besides digging in with our PGL fam and just learning about our wins, our challenges, and brainstorming together, but is to bring in amazing guest speakers to open our minds and change the trajectories of our life a little bit. And that's what tonight is, one of our PGL guest speaker showdowns. And I have a wonderful guest tonight. I had the pleasure of, thanks to Dr. Joey Weisler, he introduced me to the wonderful Dr. Yvette Ledford, and she wrote a book called Teacher by Day, which I had the pleasure and honor of reading. And that I know that your focus was specifically on education, but I think as a father, as a husband, and as someone who's now a solo entrepreneur, I think a lot of what you put in this book is important for all adults that are professionals in that. So, if you don't know Yvette, I'm going to kick this over to her in just a second. Yvette, I'm going to put you on the spotlight, so don't panic if you get bigger and blow up here on the screen, okay? But that will let us know who you are, and then we'd love to dig into how can we thrive more and take a little bit more control of our life so that we can enjoy life and live happier and healthier. So, Yvette, in honor, I'm kicking it over to you, friend.
Well, before I get started, I'm going to give you an official welcome back. Hey, I know most of y'all have already heard somebody said they have a cheat in. Somebody may not be back yet, but welcome back. Y'all are back. How many of you have not started yet? Just by show of hands, I'm just looking around. All right,
Yeah.
just okay. All right,
And
just a
Yvette,
few, but most of us are back in action, right?
and just
So,
so you know, not everybody's in education here too. We've got a wide variety of people. So some
oh,
people are
that's
like,
cool.
"Welcome back. I never went anywhere."
Oh, okay. All right. So educators. All right. Well, this would be good for me if you can just throw in the chat and tell me who's here, and I'll be looking throughout. Okay. So today I am going to talk to you guys about burnout. Okay. So I, like Phil said earlier, I did write a book about burnout or not how not to burn out, and I want to talk to you a little. Yep, it's called Teacher by Day. No guilt, emphasis on no guilt, guide to boundaries, balance, and bliss. So even if you haven't gone anywhere, we're still living and we still need these tools and these strategies. Okay. So a little bit about me, and I'm going to talk really fast because I know a lot of people got things to do after this. It's almost some people's bedtime. And feel free to chime in. I know everybody's on mute right now. Everybody on mute. I'm thinking like Beyonce right now. But you can unmute if you know just from the flow of things, okay? Because it's kind of weird when we're not like really in front of each other, but you can feel like you can unmute and say something and slightly interrupt, okay? All right, so a little bit about me, because it's kind of weird when you don't know me before I start talking about all this stuff, is I am a lover. I like to introduce myself in that way. I am a lover of life. I'm a lover of all things good, which means I'm a lover of people. I love learning about how the world works, how we are able to adapt to our environments and learn to thrive in this world, which also means that I am very fascinated with various cultures, which means music and food, which means I like to travel. I'm a Southern girl, born and raised in South Georgia, even though I live in Atlanta now. I am a boy mom, so if you're a parent, I can relate to you on that way. In that way, I've had plenty of jobs before becoming an educator. So I've been in a classroom, I've been in a director position, I've done educational trainings, I've done all those things. And today, on this wonderful Wednesday, I want to talk to you and spread the good news. And that good news is how to have a profession or just how to be in the world, right? How to be in the world and not burn out because there's just so many things pulling us in all sorts of directions. So here's my story, a little bit of my story. So I went to college after high school, just like many people did. And I got into education because I wanted to change the world. I really started out as a dentistry major. And I said, you know what? I went on this mission trip and I was like, one thing that can change the trajectory of these people's lives is education. And so I went back and then I became a teacher. So I changed my major and all that stuff. And everything was great. Everything was wonderful. And when I started teaching, was not married. I did not have a kid, but I loved what I do. So there's plenty of you out here that love your profession. And what happens when we love what we do? It's great, right? Because some people are just doing things in the world just for the paycheck and they don't have any passion or anything that's involved with that job. But fortunately for a lot of us, including me, I loved my job. And when you love your job, it's very, very easy to just pour and pour and pour into it. And sometimes you can lose yourself. So, my first year, and actually many years after that, I found myself staying late at work because I had all these wonderful ideas and I wanted to do all this stuff in the classroom. And that was great. I found myself answering emails at all times of night. I found myself doing home visits, which are great, but everything was just bleeding over into my regular work. Kids were coming to my house. I was just doing all the things and it was wonderful. It was great. And then I got married. So I added something else to the plate. And then I had kids, and then I added something else to the plate. And then life just continuously happened, right? Going to school, all the degrees, everything. And I loved every single bit of it. But one thing that they didn't teach me in college was how to balance. They taught us everything, but they didn't teach us how to balance. And so part of my mission now is to help other people learn what I had to unfortunately learn the hard way. Because one unfortunate moment in my life was divorce. And I know that that is kind of a hard topic for some people, but I'm very open about it. I found myself completely drained, and I went through a very traumatic situation, which divorce is just traumatic all the way around, right? And I do not think my job caused my divorce, but what I will say is that because I was pouring so much into my profession, once something traumatic happened, I couldn't handle it. Like I just like collapsed. And y'all, I did something that I was sort of embarrassed to do at the time, but I really realized it was for my mental health. I left my job.
Mm.
I left my job like a couple of months into this. Like that's unheard of, right? Like people that really like what they do, they don't leave their job. And so when I left, I really had a lot of time to just be by myself. My child's at school. I don't have to work. Just send him to school. I don't want to call it the burden, but I don't have the responsibility of getting up. Now it's just me, myself, and I, right? And so I had time to really reflect. And during that reflection, what I did was I asked myself some of the hard questions that sometimes we're just running around, we don't have time to ask. I asked myself, hey, how did you even get into this situation? And what areas do you feel like you don't have any boundaries? Because that was the first thing that was popping up in my head. And I realized that I was pouring so much out because I didn't ever take time to set the boundaries. And once I went through all of that reflection, I started to just really start to pour back into myself. And then I actually had time to write a book because I'm one of those people, you know how especially when you're younger, people always say sharing is caring, and I kind of still live by that motto today. And so the things that I learned, I wanted to give back, and so I already naturally like to write anyway. And so I said, you know what, I won't be a gatekeeper. There are tons of people in the world who are just moving with no direction, right? Moving without the boundaries, moving. We're just going from one thing to the next, and we are tired. Okay. So, like Phil mentioned earlier, I know there's other people in here that are not educators like me, but we are all humans, right? And we're all battling life. And life is full of greatness and happiness and joy. But when we're realistic, life is also filled with responsibility and things that aren't so good sometimes. We're carrying a lot. And sometimes we're trying to carry it with a smile on our face, right? But my back hurting. Like, you know what I mean? And so and so anyway, like I was saying, that's when I had time to really reflect and I wanted to put all of those aspects in this book. And so the book that was some of the characteristics or aspects of this book that I'm going to share tonight from Teacher by Day, A No Guilt Guide to Boundaries, Balance, and Bliss are in those three categories: boundaries, balance, and bliss, because I have found that that has brought me the most joy, and I have more, just a happier, joyful life. And the crazy thing is, I feel more effective, like in all of my areas. So we are going to start out with that first B word. Do you guys remember that B word? Anybody, just unmute yourself because I don't want to hear myself all night.
I think it's boundaries is what I'm
Oh,
hearing.
thank you, Phil. You get
I
the
know.
gold star for the
Hey,
day.
Yvette, before we jump into that, can I ask you a question about when you stepped away from work and you obviously were really burned out or tired? Was that something that like do you feel like you fueled up pretty quick, or did it take a while to refuel yourself, if you recall?
Did it
Was
take a while for me to refuel myself after I left my job for
Yeah,
those
like what?
3 months?
Yeah, like once you left, do you feel like a couple days and you were feeling better, or did it take a while to refuel? Just curious. Like it took a while for you to drain that much. I was just curious, how do you feel like you were able to start fueling back up pretty quick, or did it take a while?
Yeah, so it was in layers really. So I mean, think about it. Most of our day, if you have a job, most of your day is your job, right?
Hmm.
So leaving the job, that's 8 hours of no responsibility, except anybody except me. So that weight was lifted and it was great. Like honestly, like the first couple of days, I was like, wait, what do I do with my, because I'm, used to my routine and all
Hmm.
of that. And so that was a little bit hard, but honey, only for a few days. And then it was just like, oh, I got all this time. What do I do with this time? And then I just got with myself. I was doing a lot of meditation walks and things like that. I was doing a lot of journaling. I was doing a lot of self work. I even went to therapy a little bit, so it didn't take as long as you might think, especially when you are solo. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like when you're solo, and if you're purposeful about it. Like that was my story. Now, other people's story might be a little bit different, but
Hmm.
thanks for that question.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
curious. Sorry, but back to boundaries. My bad. Didn't want to interrupt, but I was just
No,
curious.
anybody can jump in. Did anybody else have a question?
I have a quick question. So, Yvette, when you got to that moment where you said, I have to leave my job at this time, like, when did you know it was time to put on the brakes? Like, what was that feeling about, if you're comfortable telling us about that?
Yeah, so there were a lot of tears, and when I felt that I was not being effective in the spaces that I wanted to be effective in.
Hmm.
Sometimes I think we lie to ourselves. You know what I mean? Like we're just going through the motions, like, but if we are depleted and drained, I mean, am I really being the best mom I can be? I'm tired.
Hmm.
Am I really being the best teacher? Like I'm pouring all the things out into the classroom and also into my child. But is it really the best that I can be? And then I don't have any left over for myself. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? So yeah, when did I know? I just didn't feel like I knew myself enough. Excuse me, I knew myself enough to know that I wasn't being my best. And I had to take a good look in the mirror. And, sometimes our ego can get in the way,
Hmm.
shame and things like that. And we can feel like a failure for choosing ourselves. Whoa!
Yeah.
I choose me. Like, think about that for a second. I know that I'm not in a good mental space right now because I'm going through this crazy divorce. I know I'm also working so much, 8, 9 hours a day on this job. I know I got all these other responsibilities and I am tired and drained every day. How dare I pour into myself? Come on, right? So, yeah, so that was it, Joey. I just, I knew I was better than that. That's what I knew.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you for that.
Of
Can I
course.
can I also sorry, I can't put my screen on, guys, because it's bath time.
Oh
But
Hey,
no.
Siobhan. Hey, Siobhan.
I I just wanted to also add, because yes, I love that with the boundaries. Like, for myself, I agree. I learned how to set boundaries actually later. I am an older mom, and but you know what else I found? I found that age help and experience helped me set boundaries. Now I'm
Mm.
still working on the bliss part, okay? I'm
One
still
step at a
working on
time,
the bliss.
baby. One step at a time.
Yeah, and a little bit, and you know what? Wait, I'm gonna come off Yvette, and I'm also still working on balance because it's just me with two littles. But yes, I think my experience actually helped me too. So yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about experience, right? All of us learn from someone that was wiser than us. Like we learn first generally from who? Our parents, right? They're older than us. They have walked the walk. They have done all the things and they're pouring into us and teaching us how to go. This is the same thing. This is the same thing. This is why this exists. I'm not 22 anymore, you know? I'm a big age. And so now it's time for us to share with others. And you know what? Sometimes age has something to do with it, but it's just walks of life and experience. All of us have done it differently. We're all on a different path, and so we can all learn from each other. So thank you for sharing, Siobhan. I appreciate that.
Love
Yeah.
it.
Anybody else? All right, so I love songs. So this is the first one that I'm gonna start with, and I'm gonna see if you know this song. This is gonna lead into my first. I know somebody knows this. No, 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 no. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, so I can't sing for real.
Yeah.
Phil, what's that song?
Is that Destiny's Child?
It is Destiny's Child. Look
Okay.
at you. Yeah,
Okay.
so I'm a big Beyonce fan, so that was
Okay.
easy, right? Yeah, so it is Destiny's Child. I played that because it starts out no, 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 and then it goes into yes, 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 yes. Because that song makes me think about how I need to move in the world, right? Like I need to know what's good for me, right? And I need to set my boundaries accordingly. So I actually have a question for you, and I'll jump in and give you some of my boundaries and how I'm able to keep them and some tips that you can also find in this book. But what boundaries do you have? What boundaries do you have? Phil, I'm going to start with you. And if somebody wants to throw something in the chat, if you don't want to unmute yourself, but you can feel free to unmute yourself. As Phil is talking, you can be thinking, what boundaries do you have for yourself right now? That can be like in your personal life, in your professional life, like what boundaries, what are some
Yeah.
of those boundaries?
I would say family dinner time for us is a pretty hard boundary. We try to eat dinner, the four of us, 5:15 every day, and I like to cook and create for the family, so it's a nice moment for me. So I try to rarely, if ever, schedule meetings or anything during those times. Obviously, there's exceptions, but it's a pretty strong boundary we try to lean on so that at least once a day we're connecting. So that's one that I really try to guard as best I can.
That's a good one. Family time.
I have boundaries I can share.
Yeah, go for it.
The best thing that I've done is put the group teacher text on mute, and I'll check it at the end and I'm like, oh guys, whatever. And also, I don't care how much you want to hang out with me at school. When I'm at school, I have to do my school stuff. I am not going to sit and have lunch with you. Please don't feel bad. I'm like, if it's your birthday, I'll have lunch with you. My boundary is I'm at school. I have to be at school and work. I have two kids. I'm doing speaking on the side. I need school time to be school time. And Phil, I remember you would talk about that. School time is school time. I get all my things done. And then after it's my family, I'm doing my speaking. That's my boundary. And people know now. They're like, oh, we used to think you're antisocial, but I think we get it. I'm like, yes. And I'm like a tad antisocial. All in, all out, no gray. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out.
Yes, yes.
Oh, that's a
Doing work
good
at work.
one. That's a good one. I do have a funny story about that because I do think sometimes if people don't know you, they're like, oh, she doesn't want to chat, but you really are just structured. I have a student that popped in my room. It was my student last year, and I actually posted this video the other day. She popped in my room and the bell rang, and she was like, oh, I know Dr. Ledford's about to leave now. You're always right. And I was like, what? She said it like it was this bad thing. And I was like, I want to go home too. She was like, everybody knows when that bell rings, you're leaving. And I was thinking to myself, it was funny, but I was like, she learned from last year that she can't come and hang out for 30 minutes just because she's waiting on her ride.
Nope.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Anybody else?
That we got some things in the chat too, talking about leaving work at work. Allison mentioned, she said, especially since it's an by the hour thing now. She's out when that bell rings. Good for you. Set that boundary. I like that. And Trish D, it sounds like you and Rosalie have a similar thing. When you're at work, you're crushing the work, getting it done, as opposed to just hanging out so that you can go home and do the things you also want to do at home, which is great boundary, right? Yvette, you kind of
One
saying
of the
it with,
reasons why I love Rosalie.
yeah. And
We get
Yvette,
it. We would
I
be great together, working together.
yeah,
For sure, Trish, for sure. We would be besties and never talk to each other. It would be like, hey, what's up? Go back to work.
All right. Yeah. Hey, and bye. What were
Yes,
you
but
gonna
no,
say, Phil?
that's so important.
no, yeah, no, it is. I think it is true, right? There's this balance where you want to support your coworkers, but you also have plenty to do, and we have lives outside of work as well. But I think that, like, when they make a comment to you, sometimes I think in any job, if you're not like staying late or working overtime, some people wear that as a badge of honor that they stay late. But really, if you look at their day, you wonder, like, how much time did they waste during the day that they could have left earlier? No judgment. Everyone's got
Yeah.
their way of working, but sometimes it's like you could get shamed into leaving on time because others stay
Mhm.
later, where just like you said, we're all different walks of life. Some of us like to do things at home as opposed to at work. Some of us work is more social, so we go home and are less social. Well, everybody's got their own way to figure it out, I feel.
Yeah, that's so true. That is so true. I will say a couple of things that I do, and I have tons and tons and tons of boundaries. I took my work email off my phone.
Mm,
Hey, I'm gone. You know what I mean? I just have to schedule a certain time for it. And a big thing is, I know, Phil, you mentioned like family time, dinner time.
mm,
Mine is bedtime.
mm.
You know what I mean? Like I got it because that leads to rest, and I need rest. Just like I need to charge up my phone and charge up this MacBook, I need rest too to be able to effectively be myself in the world. Yeah.
Like that.
All right. If no one else has anything else, I'm actually going to move on. Does somebody else have anything else, or it was in the chat that you want to say, Phil?
Oh, Dr. W just mentioned that his current students in college, he has them not call him by his first name just to keep that healthy boundary for a while they're his students. And I think he talks about how that was a different feeling when he had professors to go by first name, and that helps out the dynamic, it looks like. I get that.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so I'm gonna play one more song. I mean, not one more song, but another song. Phil, I know you're gonna know
And
what it
well,
is.
that you got to sing it too, because the song does your microphone cuts out part of it, so you'll have
Oh
to sing with
no.
it to help. Yeah. Oh
Oh
no,
no.
no,
So y'all
no,
just hear
no.
my voice?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Take
yeah.
some time, but now don't. Cause I realize I gotta leave myself behind. That's all I got in the end. That's what I found out. And there ain't no need to cry. Talk about that now. I'm gonna be my own best friend.
All right, someone knows that.
Not
Who knows
sing.
this?
That is so funny. All right, so we know what that one is. Me, Myself, and I by Beyonce.
Oh, I thought yes, yes.
This was so easy. It was another
The
Beyonce song.
Queen Bee.
Queen Bee, right? Anyway, so I picked that because it just, is about you being by yourself, right? Because that's really all, like the song says, the lyrics, me, myself, and I, that's all I got in the end, right? And so a lot of times we forget ourselves. So that's a part of the balance that I want to talk about today. When we think about a balance, you think about two things on one end and one doesn't need to tip over too much because they're kind of equal, right? So I'm going to talk about this through the lens of our professions, right? So a lot of us have a job, whatever that job may be, right? And then we have our personal life. So our job and then our personal life. So I want you to reflect. This is a moment, just take a few seconds and think about your day. Most of you, or a lot of you, probably work today. And if you didn't work today, think about an average day, okay? I want you to think about in that day, how much are you doing work for your profession versus how much are you doing things that you just want to do?
Mm.
Another question I will ask myself is this: if I wasn't working, like if I wasn't teaching, if I wasn't a nurse, if I didn't have whatever job you have, how would I be spending my time?
So if I could do whatever I want, what would I be
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah, like what do you like to do? How would you be spending your time?
Mm.
Anybody want to jump in there? I can go first. Some of the things that I like to do, and this is very easy for me because I have summers off, as an educator, right? So I'm not clocking in and going to work. So I love traveling. So you're gonna always catch me on a plane going somewhere. I plan something out to just go travel. Number two, I love meeting new people. So I go that song that what's Ariel thinking Little Mermaid. I don't know. You know that song, I want to be where the
Where the
people
people
are.
are.
Yeah, that's me. I'm always trying to be where the people are. So if there's a concert, if there's a bar, I'm at the bar, sitting at the bar, and I like being outside. So if those are the things and I like to write and journal. So if those are the things that naturally bring me joy that I would be doing no matter what, I have to make sure that those things are in my daily life or in my weekly life. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm at least trying to do one of those things a day because everything can't fit in. So, for example, yesterday I went walking right after work. Bell rang, boom, went walking. Got my social hour because I grabbed a couple of people and convinced them to walk with me. So I exercised, walked, and got my people on at the same time before I went home to be able to be mom and all of that stuff. So I feel like that was a little balance, right? So, what about y'all?
I love that. When I read that in your book, that I was like saying out loud, like, yes, yes, we have to build in the things that we love, even if it's not technically in our job description. That's what fills us up. That's the good stuff. So for me, like creating, so like cooking, music is a huge part of my happiness. People, I have to see people every day. So I'm
Mhm.
very similar to you, Yvette. I like being around people. I like being active. So as long as I'm touching on those every day, I'm feeling pretty good.
Anybody else?
I feel like I spend almost every waking hour doing something for my profession, but it's things that I love
Mhm.
to pour into my profession, like going to networking and podcasting, meeting wonderful humans, reading books
Mhm.
about them, writing my own book, and all the things that I want to do for some sort of academic and professional leverage, but I couldn't see myself doing anything else. I'm not terribly coordinated, so I won't go take a dancing class. I'm not into
You
basket
just do
weaving
it
or
for
pottery,
fun.
so and if I was to take a pottery class, I'd be thinking, I really should be researching my next guest right now. So I feel like I'm still in the good space and I do things that are for my own profession, nevertheless.
Mm. I like that. Joey, do you think too, like what you do as a professor is in full alignment of what you are and what you love to do? So the natural overlap between the two are so organic that it seems like it's always for that.
Absolutely. And on days
Yeah.
I teach, it's like, oh, good, it's my day off of having to stay home and do whatever. I get to go on my play date today. See some of my favorite people on campus.
Hmm.
Heck yeah. All day long.
Steve.
Yeah, I was just going to say, love the conversation. This is great. It reminds me a lot of Stephen Covey's Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, and he talks about the four quadrants of kind of time management. And I actually call that time that you're talking about, setting boundaries, trying to find balance, quadrant two, where you're doing the important but not urgent things, as
Mhm.
opposed to work tends to be important and urgent, and it's emails and it's emergencies and it's all the things, all the pressing issues. If you don't intentionally structure quadrant two time, things that are important and not urgent, then those things don't get done. So I kind of on my calendar put Q2 quadrant two, knowing that I'm taking this 30 minutes and it could be work related and something enjoyable that I want to get ahead of or that I want to be proactive on, or it could be reading a book, or it could be stopping and running out and getting a soda. But it's something that I feel fills me up and motivates me and keeps me going, that I feel is important, but it's not one of those urgent things.
Thank you so much, Steve. Yeah, and I mentioned those quadrants in this book. I referenced them, but I named them something else using a metaphor that's a little bit I don't want to say catchier, but fits my style other than quadrant one, two, three, or four. But yeah, very similar, very similar. Zachary, you look like you were about to say something. What's up, Zach?
What's up? How you doing? I love this group. I love hearing you.
Same. You got good energy. I can feel it through the screen.
I'm trying, my friend. I'm trying. So do you. I love the singing and the dancing. I love your vibe. Um, it's funny, like I feel I work in real estate, so I'm not a teacher. I work full time in real estate and I have some wellness stuff that I do as well. But my problem is it's not a problem. I have a hard time with balance. I mean, I'm answering emails, phone calls with deals with sellers and buyers, investors, sometimes 9, 10 o'clock at night. I work most weekends. Yeah, so finding like the time for me, I just got married a month ago. So
Yeah.
which has been fantastic. Um, but we planned a wedding for like almost a year and then working full time. And then I have a couple other projects and I have a son in high school. So like finding the time for me is really hard. I almost have to ask myself like what do I even like to do anymore? I mean, I love my life. I have a big life, but it's like, wow, like how do I go fill my cup? Like I get tidbits here and there, right? But
Mhm.
it's like, yeah, it's been challenging, to be honest.
Zachary, I understand. Life is challenging and it sounds like you're balancing a lot. So you're not alone in that. I will say I can relate to some of this. Not that into real estate at all, but my partner is a real estate broker. And so his
Yeah.
phone is always going off and stuff like that. But I will say that he is really good with boundaries. Mainly his tip is putting that phone down.
Oh
That phone is
gosh. Yeah.
nowhere around him. So if I'm around or the kids are around, that the phone's not even in here. The phone actually doesn't isn't even in the bedroom. The phone gets charged in the kitchen. It's on silent, and that this is one of the biggest distractions that we all have. It's not
Mhm.
just the kids that we talk about, it's us too. That's why I had to take my work emails off the phone. And you probably have one of those jobs without like real set hours, right? And so it's a little bit more difficult. Like for a lot of us, we can just clock out, boom, boom, we're out of there. But then your stuff is just constantly flowing in. So you have to set your own boundaries. I'm not going to work during this hour, between this hour and this hour. You just got to set it up and then put the phone up.
No, and you're right. You're right. Like the time blocking, I've gotten better probably in the last year or two about truly taking like a day off on the weekend and trying to give myself maybe a half day during the week. During the busy season, it's hard to do that, but I have gotten better. And what I do too is like I try not to jump into any work until like, 8:30 in the morning. Sometimes it doesn't go that way, but like, the time blocking has
Mm.
been a huge savior for efficiency and also just separation too.
Can I give you a bit of homework, informal
Do
homework?
it. Do it.
Okay, Zachary, what I want you to do for the rest of this week is to really think about what you like to do.
Okay.
Don't think about what you it can I mean it can be something with your wife. You're a newlywed man. But I also want you to
Of
think
course.
about things that you want to do alone. You know what I mean? My partner and I, he likes to ride bikes. He's in a real estate with you. He bikes with his friends. I always tell him he's like 12. They're like all riding their bike and down in Atlanta in the city, and then you know what I mean?
I
Like,
love
but
it.
that's his thing. I don't go with him. You know what I mean? Like but find your thing. Because what I have found also is that educators almost have what some parents have when the kids move away, empty nest syndrome. And the reason that parents sometimes have the whole, a married couple has this whole empty nest syndrome is because they've some kind of way lost themselves in the shuffle and they've been pouring and doing everything in the kids and not making time for themselves as individuals and a couple. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, we got a job, but me, myself, and I first, right? And you'll be better for it.
100%. Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Of course, it's all love.
Vetsu, we've got a question in the chat. And also, I'd like to say, once we know what we love, are there ways we can sneak them in? Like, Zach, if you're driving to meet up a client, like in the car, can you be listening to songs that you absolutely love or podcasts or things you love learning? I don't know, maybe you love buying Pokemon cards and selling them for a profit? Are there podcasts on that? It's like whatever things that we love, can we sneak them in those weird downtimes? And if we know in advance something that's easy that we love, it's easier to seize that time when we have it if it pops up sometimes. So, but I think that, like you said, once you know, you might be better. It might be easier to sneak it in once you're aware of that.
Yeah, here's an example, and I'll say this really quick. I said earlier that I love being outside and love to walk, right? I sneak that into my day all the time. I'm a teacher. We ain't got to be in that classroom to do what I got to do. It's a nice day outside. Let's go. Sit in a circle outside, or I'll walk and talk. Y'all just keep up with me. And I'm like a tour guide, but I'm really just teaching a lesson. Now I've walked, got my joy, inner joy, and taught my class at the same time. Take your clients somewhere that you like. I don't know. Yeah. All right, what were you going to say, Phil? You had a
Yeah,
question.
Melissa, it said there's something in the chat here that says, I'm only getting started on the path to becoming a teacher while working full time. I know I have to set boundaries and find balance and bliss to even start the actual teaching. I'm not married, but I live with the family who does ask for my time, and I value our relationships a lot. So it's hard to convince them of my boundaries sometimes. Just any advice for kind of navigating that?
And that's with you said with family and people you work with, both?
No, I think we're just looking at family. So like when we're home, we're living with a family that asks a lot of our time too. How do we set boundaries when it's people super close to us? That's a really great question.
Yes, sometimes it's more difficult with the people that you love, you know what I mean? Especially, you know what I mean? Your kids are all over you all the time, or somebody, yeah. It's in a similar way, you know. First of all, I always thank people and lead with gratitude. If someone wants to be with me and that's against my boundary, number one, at least I'm likable. They want to spend time with me, right? So thank you so much. I understand that, you want to spend a lot of time with me right now, so lead with that. But then also let them know why it's important for you to be alone or have a set time where you're doing something else that's not with them, and just be honest about it. And a lot of times it may be hard at first, but people that love you will understand. But sometimes the hardest thing is just jumping over the cliff and saying no. No is like so hard. But I tell people too, don't look at no as a negative, look at it as a positive, because you're protecting yourself. You're doing something for yourself that will ultimately affect someone else, especially the people that we love and we're around, in a greater way. You know what I mean? So it's that getting that no in your head as a positive, like, hey, I'm loving on myself so much. The answer is no. With a smile.
Yeah, and she mentioned it's hard to tell her little 12-year-old niece. I think you're right that like the people we love truly are sometimes the hardest to set boundaries with because they're the last people we want to hurt. But you're right, when you are clear and upfront, I found even the hard conversations, I've always felt better after because I feel like eventually they understand why. It's not that you dislike them or that, but that you just need some time or space or whatever it is you're looking for.
Yeah, but until then, sneak off into the bathroom. Honey, your bathroom is your friend. Just nobody's gonna mess. Well, I don't know. Some people don't mess with you. Like I like to do a long bubble bath. Just sneak off into the bathroom.
I like that. And
That's
Lauren,
turn the music up.
yeah, and Lauren chimed in too from Melissa. So Melissa, I think you saw that in the chat too. I love that, guys. Yeah, hey, I mean, life is dynamic, right, Yvette? Like it's full of a lot. People are messy, and even if it's not messy, there's just a lot going on. But I like what you said. At least people want to hang out with us, right? That's nice.
All right.
All right, Yvette, we're kind of a little over the time here, but I don't want to cut off too much. If you wanted to say anything, we did the boundaries and balance, maybe a little couple seconds about the bliss. But if anyone needs to dip off, we understand. And Yvette, we want to respect your time too. You got to get that sleep in. The kids need you tomorrow too. But tell us what that bliss means in that, and then we can start wrapping it up if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. We've already kind of, skated around some of it through our conversations, but the bliss is really just going back to your why. Like I always just try to lead with compassion, but also go back to gratefulness. I wake up every day and think about the things I'm grateful for. I go to sleep thinking about those things, and I think about them throughout the day. And whatever brings me joy and reminds me of the why I do what I do more of that. So like for me at work, I love hanging out with the kids, and kids are just innocent. It's not all the lesson plans and all that stuff. You know what I mean? That's all the busy work. Oh, blah. But if I know that I like laughing with kids, I'm going back to something that I like to do. Like today, I spent tons of time with them. Playing Uno for 20 minutes was joyful and brought me some bliss. And then we can get to the work. So anyway, going back to your why and doing things that bring you joy within your profession.
I love that. I love that. Hey, Yvette, we're so grateful for your time and for your energy. You are dynamic. It comes through the screen. Hey, everybody, today I'm going to send a recap email out. And in that recap email, I'm going to say if you're interested in a copy of Doc's book, I'm going to ask you to just email me back, and I'm going to raffle off and buy 5 copies of the book and send it to people. So, if you once you get that recap email, I'll put the info in there and just say respond back to me that you want a copy, and then I'll do a little drawing and I'll send 5 books out to spread some love, to say thanks to Yvette, but also thanks to you for coming and checking out this event and evening. If you are interested and like not doing the raffle, but you're like, I just want to buy Yvette's book right now, here is the link on Amazon. It's right there for you. If this group is something that you're like, hey, this actually sounds like a fun group to be a part of, just to hold myself accountable in that, here's really quick how you can become a member right there, and how you can get it's $150 a year. That's it. 2 Wednesdays a month. It's right there for you. Please keep in touch with Yvette. And Yvette, by the way, I'll put all your info in that recap email so that everyone
Okay.
can get a hold of you via Instagram and email as well. And I know that everybody, we said 8:10. I'm going to stick around if anyone wants to talk or keep going. And that, Yvette, I'm not sure if you're able to stay or not. If you got to go, please feel free. You can say your goodbyes and head on out if you need be. And but I'll be here until we kind of figure everything out. But everyone, thank you so much for coming. Yvette, any last words before we start wrapping it up?
Just be great. Remember you. Remember you. Remember you. Remember you. Love on yourself. And I'm going to be here for probably about 5 more minutes. I have a child that's going back to boarding school tomorrow. So I'll be spending time with him after I leave here so we can make sure everything's packed up. But I'll stick around for a few more minutes.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much, Yvette. I appreciate you.